Malaysia borders Thailand, Singapore, and Indonesia. Two sections divided by 450 miles of water, the peninsula on the left and the island of Borneo on the right. Joyce is mentally steeling herself to trek miles and miles through the famous caves of Malaysia. Or not. We are flying across the top of the world to reach Taipei, then on to Penang, in the northwest corner of Malaysia. The Taipei airport demonstrates an innovative amplification system. We tingle with luscious pleasure at the prospect of advancing into the future to savor the glory of high-tech waiting lounge. But it looks like any old waiting room to us. Our first meal in Georgetown, a very popular Chinese place. They take orders while you wait for a table. These are pea shoots with little white anchovies, tight, savory, and light. Reynold is ready for more Malaysian food. The sooner the better. Later that evening, testing out his new flashlight.
Next morning, we start at the Penang Peranakan Mansion, a restored 1890s home of a rich Chinese merchant. Here he is with the favorite of his 4 wives. The home is opulent, eclectic, a showpiece, filled with collectibles from China and Europe. Here's a tea table made from one huge and heavy piece of jade. The indentation on one side channels any spilled tea down onto your feet, so your hands don't get wet. They were enthusiastic opium smokers. This is only a small portion of their dope paraphernalia. This is English glassware called Vaseline glass because of its oily sheen. Uranium oxide was added for a green glow. Excellent for radiation poisoning of your food. We confer in these chairs designed for negotiating. Face to face, you look straight into the eyes of your shifty, low-down opponent. Astonishingly, we aren't allowed to try out this lavishly decorated wedding bed. A basket underneath on the floor contained 2 chickens, 1 male and 1 female. In the morning, whichever hopped out first predicted the sex of the baby to come, with 70% accuracy, they say. The 19th century Chinese were a suspicious people. This safe has 2 keys. Husband and wife have to open it together. We check out the offerings at a food court. We see something good but get ready for a bait and switch. Here's the bait, and here's the switch. It's tasty enough, but not a sign of those 4 large shrimps. Now to the Blue Mansion, another elaborate restoration in progress. Unfortunately, it's also a hotel. The beautiful and elegant rooms are privately occupied, so our tickets only get us into the courtyard, where we listen to the guide describing what we cannot see. This is the Kangsar clan house, a community where people with the same family name could find housing and employment and pray together. This is their rendering of what we'll see when it's fully restored. Clan houses became prosperous and got into competitive ornamentation. They'll definitely be the finalists in that contest. The carvings, like this carp fish turning into a dragon, are meant to attract good luck and wealth. Back on the streets of Georgetown, hanging signs are stabilized by attaching filled water bottles. At dinner, we order prawns with oatmeal because it sounds so odd. The crispy coating is delicious, but not oatmeal as we know it. We ask to see it. Cold cereal flakes, and they definitely taste like oats. Later, we see this oat cereal in a shop, and to this day, we are sorry we didn't buy it and take it home. Joyce's guilty look is from eating all this food herself. All Reynold had was half a glass of wine.
This is the Campbell Street Market, previously in a red light district. We go on a shopping tour before our cooking lesson. Large fish heads are popular here because of the bones. The Malays like to chew on the bones. It looks like old cucumber, and that's what they call it, used in soups or boiled in coconut milk. Coconuts are imported and processed here. He chops off the hard parts. The skin is shaved off, and the white is grated. Or chunks are put straight into the grinder and the milk is squeezed out. His hands are smooth from cleaning coconuts 12 hours a day. If you put coconut milk in the freezer, you can eat it like ice cream. Reynold buys Sumatran coffee for $1.25 a pound. Our guide says it's the best in Malaysia. It's very full-bodied and it has snap. Bitter melons are gourds. You cut out the seeds, chop the green part, and fry it up with eggs as a side dish. This is called frog gourd. It is extremely bitter and is used as a laxative or purgative. Kefir fruit is good for gout, or you can rub it on your armpits for a good deodorant. White dried anchovies are fresher, and blue-eyed ones are the highest quality. You want young ones. They're tender. Older ones are darker. They're woody because their spines have already formed. Fish bladders expand when you fry them. They are an expensive delicacy saved for holidays and weddings. They are actually air bladders, also called fish maw on Chinese menus. You can buy Campbell's canned fish maw soup in Asia. This is what it looks like before it's removed and fried. It's the big bulge over the tongue. It controls buoyancy. Naslina's cooking school starts with dessert. We make a paste of ripe mashed baby bananas, diced sweet potato, brown sugar, sago, which is like tapioca, flour, and salt. It's also got toasted coconut, which is pounded till the oil is released. It tastes a little like bitter chocolate. You hold the banana leaf over a burner flame for a few seconds to soften it. Then you fill it with the paste and steam it. It doesn't look like designer food sculpture, but it's way good, even if you don't add a touch of rum. Deep-fried shallots, sliced thin lengthwise, our new favorite topping for almost anything. When you fry little prawns, don't move them around. Let them cook on one side undisturbed, then flip them and leave them alone until done. For a noodle dish with eggs mixed in, keep the egg apart. Leave it alone until half set, then scramble and mix it in. And voila, a fabulous lunch. Joyce's fried chicken with chilies beats Colonel Sanders any day. The Ki Lok Se Buddhist temple sits at the highest point in Penang. The Muslim imams made them demolish the statue of the Goddess of Mercy because it was higher than the highest mosque and located to the west toward Mecca. The imams said that it was intercepting the Muslims' prayers to Mecca. Maybe they did not appreciate that it's the largest Buddhist temple in Malaysia. As lurid and entertaining as any other Buddhist temple. Back in Georgetown, Chu Jetty is another clan house community, this one built out over the water. A population of Chinese immigrants grew up around the piers with floating and stilt houses built along some rickety docks. Whoever painted this piece of siding art got no compensation when a local printer appropriated it for a 2017 calendar. Notice the very odd layout of days and dates. Today there are 75 elevated houses, a few Chinese shrines, and a community hall, all connected by wooden walkways. The old pilings are reinforced with big plastic buckets filled with concrete. Some homes are carefully tended, and most have open lattice work in the doors and windows, so you can see inside. We look into a few. There is always an altar to honor ancestors in the entry room opposite the front door.
After 3 days on our own, this morning we meet up with our guides. Chris is the boss, but Doris carries the license. First stop, the tropical spice garden. There are local plants and a separate section of spice plants. These giant water lilies are from South America and are strong enough to hold the weight of a 1-year-old. This is a bat lily, named for the flowers that look like bat ears. The traveler's palm grows in a north-south direction, so you can use it as a compass if you use the sun to triangulate. Its leaves trap water which you can harvest to quench your traveler's thirst. The cat whiskers plant makes cat whiskers or Java tea. This is where stevia comes from, the stevia plant. Essentially, the leaves taste very much like stevia. Nutmeg loves growing on hilly island slopes and is a big Malaysian crop. The seed is inside, covered by mace. Pepper grows as a vine on poles. The peppercorns turn from green to red to black. The peppercorns grow as a string. The leaves can be used for soup or as a vegetable. We choose our lunch spot for its famous local dish, laksa, a soup of rice noodles with chicken, shrimp, or fish. This is Siam laksa. It has a spicy curried coconut milk base, but it's not too hot. It's pretty close to Indian food as we know it. Assam laksa has a different approach. No coconut milk, and it's sour and a little more spicy. Tamarind makes it tart. Both are excellent. After lunch, we head to a butterfly farm.
Sabarlah sayangku, ku datang padamu. Lama kau menunggu, janganlah kau ragu, maafkan padaku.
Our next stop is the tropical fruit garden. There are 8 different kinds of pineapples. 5 are edible. These 2 are just for decoration. The undersides of the star apple leaf glitter like gold when you shine light on them, like this flash photo. Finally, dessert. We take our pick. This is langsat. You break it open and eat the sections inside. It tastes like a bittersweet grapefruit. Custard apple tastes like sweet custard mixed with cooked apple. Star fruit, tart but sweet. It can taste like a mix of plum, pineapple, and lemon. Passion fruit is tangy and juicy with a strong aroma and tastes like kiwi with pineapple. Afterwards, a walk through a sculpture garden created by a fanatic botanist and artist. It's an outdoor art gallery. The glass sculptures are by many different artists. The best part is discovering the owner's turtle menagerie. Apparently, a very hungry menagerie.
Ipoh is southeast of Georgetown and more suburban. Very spread out with whitewashed buildings, wide boulevards, and mountains in the distance. Perak Tong Cave Temple is 400 feet wide and 650 feet tall and has huge statues inside. The red lanterns at the main entrance were used before street addresses were introduced. One lantern had the owner's name, the other his profession. Buddhism and Taoism coexist in one temple which they built inside this cave. Guardians sit at the front of the temple standing watch, keeping the evil spirits at bay with their powerful feet. Paintings adorn the roof of the cave. The laughing Buddha holds all your unhappiness in his big belly. He teaches you to relax and just have a good laugh. These gigantic joss sticks are burned outside on important holidays. The transgender goddess of mercy's many helping hands reach out to the masses. She is shown sometimes as a male, most times as a female. Near the stairway is the guardian of hell. Note the large earlobes, big enough to listen to all our tales of suffering. We review the warnings before we start the ascent to the shrine at the top. It's 450 steps, mostly in the hot sun. At the summit is a Taoist deity, one of the transformations of the goddess of mercy. As in, no more steps, folks. We stopped to buy an Ipoh salted chicken, a local delicacy. It's takeout only. We're saving it for dinner later. Cost 19 ringgits, about $5. It's seasoned inside, wrapped in parchment and roasted in a bed of hot salt. The salt taste is quite mild, but the flavor is very herbal, from angelica root. We go to another cave temple, Kek Lok Tong. It is set in a huge limestone mountain. Handmade stone sculptures line the entry walk, including a dragon who looks just like Geraldo Rivera.
Cintailah mana tidak berkias, jalinnya lalu rentak beribu. Bagailah mana hendak berhias, cerminku retak seribu. Mendendam unggas liar di hutan, jalan yang tinggal jangan berliku. Tilamku emas, jadannya intan, berbantal lengan hidupku.
Joyce takes a photo and later does one drawing in pen and ink and another in charcoal. Our posse stands tall and makes Malaysia safe for tourism. Chris, Doris, Joyce, Reynold, and Eric, our driver. Our lunch restaurant is named Vengi, which is the name of the pole sellers held on their shoulder to carry rice buckets. It's cafeteria-style Indian food. Halal, meaning beef, yes, lamb, yes, chicken, yes, pork, no, and much favored by Muslims. Then on to the Hakka Tin Miners Club, a hangout for wealthy Chinese mine owners. The common dining table is in the front hall. Feng Shui dictates the two facing mirrors in the dining room. We also saw this at the Peranakan house earlier. The rich Chinese mine owners could smoke opium, drink, gamble, and consort with hookers there, but no more than one woman was allowed to stay on the premises overnight. We watch a documentary from 1941 showing a fascinating parade of the machinery and structures used to extract tin. These are pails of tin ore, just what the miners had to lift. One of these pails weighs over 100 pounds. A permit to mine tin cost $1 a year, which in 1893 was a fortune if you were a destitute Chinese immigrant miner. Later, an in-room picnic of salted chicken, sesame bread, and salad, and we are done for the day.
We start the morning at the Ipoh Wet Market, fish, chicken, and vegetables. Birds are popular pets in Asia. This stall is actually a pet shop. But these frogs are for eating, big with the Chinese. Sometimes people will buy them and let them go as an act of kindness. They are cleaning yellow eels. Ikan siakap is a fish roll made of salt, sago flour, and minced sea bass. You boil or deep fry it, like fish paste or kamaboko. Ipoh bean sprouts are unique, short, fat, and very crunchy because of the quality of the local water. These are immature sprouts. When they are ready to eat, they'll be turned, immersed in water, and covered with newspaper to stop the growth process. This is cassava leaf, Chris peels the outer layer of the stem in 1-inch segments and makes jewelry, a necklace or a bracelet. Here we have paku, which means nail. The English name is gracilaria, a fern that grows wild in the forest. You cook it with coconut milk and shrimp paste. These are baby eggplant, pea-sized, very bitter. Red spinach is good for anemia. You just stir-fry it or serve it in soup. Belachan is shrimp paste. They use it in almost everything, so it comes in big packages. Very deep flavor because it's fermented. This is the wing bean. If you're Malaysian, you stir-fry it or eat it raw with your belachan. If you're Thai, you eat it raw with chili. Lunch is at a Chinese food court famous for bean curd skins stuffed with fish paste. You hand them your bowl of fish balls that they heat in a fabulous broth with chubby Ipoh bean sprouts and noodles. The flat pieces of fried bean curd skin in the upper bowl are thin and crispy. This is quite amazing, a salad of crunchy fruit dressed with shrimp paste, chili, brown sugar, black soy sauce, melted caramel, and crushed peanuts. Or look for rojak sauce at your supermarket. This place is one of a kind. If you like to strike a pose, it's Photo Op Central.
Dia dapat suami gaya macam Elvis Presley, siang malam menyanyi, pulangnya dini hari. Kini si gadis bersusah hati menenangkan diri, hati yang luka merana diri, hidupnya sepi, muka yang manis menjadi benci. Senyum simpulnya tiada lagi, suami yang cengis ditinggal pergi.
We see a local artist finishing a new photo backdrop. Then another artist, who's really just a tourist, muscles her way in and takes over. Another salted chicken in the bag. Actually, they are quite small, under 2 pounds, and the breast is only about a size 28 AA.
We drive south all morning to go to a nature park near the capital of Kuala Lumpur. Naturally, first we stop for lunch. It's a seafood place on the river where fishing boats dock to deliver their catch. They like to appoint the cutest kid to help serve American tourists with cameras. She's doling out bitter gourd soup. Salted mantis prawns are large shrimps with very flat abdomens. Oatmeal breading again, this time on squid. The oatmeal recipe was developed only 3 or 4 years ago and it's become popular, especially with us. The restaurant has a fish market too. This is fish maw, the air bladder, drying in the sun. Wow, such a great drink. Asian pear juice with a pickled sour plum in the bottle. We are getting ready for our nature walk and have to tuck in our pants to block mosquitoes and land leeches, which are numerous. Some leeches move like inchworms, but fast and nimble, like a slinky. They are very elastic when you pull on them. They stand on the forest floor after a rain. They can work through ordinary socks, but you can buy special leech socks to block them. They are valuable for medical therapy. They inject an anticoagulant that treats circulatory problems and blood clots, and an anesthetic good for whiplash pain. We arrive at the Kuala Selangor Nature Park for a stroll to the seaside on a walkway through a mangrove forest. In Joyce's paranoia, she comes prepared with 2 types of DEET insect repellent, both illegal in Malaysia. Long-tailed macaques are good swimmers and are adept at catching crabs. Luckily, they leave us alone. We are off, and at first the forest looks pretty conventional. We hear cicadas just like at home. Mudflats are good habitat for snakes, mollusks, and crabs. Also mud skippers, fish which swim in water and slither on land. Reynold gets the mud skippers on his camera but keeps hitting his head. Now we reach the famous mangrove forest. These trees prevent coastal erosion and absorb the impact of the typhoons. Thanks to these trees, there has never been tsunami damage in Malaysia. The water is brackish, which means it combines salt water and fresh water, just like the lower Hudson River. The forest floor is covered with deep mud. The holes are home to mud lobsters and crabs and to the mud skippers. The mangrove roots grow outwards like buttresses to support the tree in the mud. You cannot use a regular shovel to plant a sapling. These poles are used instead. A mangrove leaf with a seed ready to drop. Joyce finds a seed on the walkway. It's considered a good deed to retrieve seeds and plant them by dropping them so the end point spears the soil. Close enough. Joyce has planted a mangrove tree. We've done our kindness of the day. We're smiling because we made it through with no leeches.
In the morning, we start exploring the area around Kuala Lumpur. We go to the Forestry Research Institute of Malaysia, FRIM for short, another nature walk. Our guide is an expert forest ranger, really knows his biology. The stingless bee makes a sweet and sour honey, tastier than a honeybee's. You extract the honey with a straw. They are popular with home beekeepers. This tubular hive is a hollow tree branch. Ants live in the ant tree, inside branches that are hollow and contain a sugary sap. They fend off other insects. The leaves from the sapinin tree are ground with water to staunch bleeding. It's also used for soap. The Kachip Fatima is used during childbirth to ease delivery and tighten up afterwards. The ghost finger fern. Our guide kept saying it was for family planning. Turns out it is used to induce abortion. Locals call this the wow spot, where all the kapok trees reach to the sky. Their edges line up and appear to be evenly spaced. Our guide demonstrates primitive communication, drumming on the prop root of the Meranti tembaga tree. Lianas are climbers and make convenient handrails on steep hikes, like our imminent hike up to the canopy walkway. The path is getting rougher and Joyce has to tighten her shoelaces. We've been hiking for 2 hours now and our advance is getting slower. And hot. And sweaty. Did we mention we're in the tropics? Finally, the canopy walk. Too bad these people beat us to it. Our first chance to sit all morning. An authority figure pops out of an overhead window and announces who may enter the canopy and when. The system runs 500 feet and is 100 feet above ground. We have to stay 2 planks apart and no more than 5 people allowed on one bridge. It is still quite shaky. No smoking, no running, no swinging, no noise making, and no leaning on the handrails. Lose your balance, you're on your own. The least best part is getting your feet to work long after they have become too tired to cooperate. Little do we suspect that we are about to have a most amazing lunch. Shrimps, scallops, and tofu sound pretty ordinary, but cover it in crusty fried seaweed and it carries the day. This is fried squid with salted preserved egg in the breading. It really ramps up the flavor. Buttered Japanese snails are a little sweet but pleasantly chewy. Working off lunch, we pay a call to a pair of caves outside Kuala Lumpur. The first one, Ramayana, is a Hindu temple cave. They are renovating because an important festival is coming up. We have to climb 272 steps to reach the cave. That's 5 times the height of the Empire State Building, maybe 6 or 7. Almost there, we detour to the dark cave right next door. Not a temple cave. It has a huge population of bats. They hand out helmets to protect us from bat guano and other falling items. Mostly, it's 100% pitch black. We are given small flashlights, and the guide has a big, strong lantern to help us take pictures. Visually, it's not too interesting. The point here is to experience total darkness. We leave and head back up the rest of the stairs to the Ramayana temple cave. There is something happy and tacky about these dioramas of the Indian epic Ramayana. The tranquility is effectively obliterated by construction noise from renovations in the temple. Guess what? Another 105 steps to reach the upper cave. There are shrines, and this section is over 100 feet high. Here the roof has collapsed, creating an ethereal skylight overhead.
The next day, we go to Seremban to see the wet market. The market in Ipoh was more Chinese. This one is more Indian. The seeds inside these long beans filter your kidneys and make your urine smell, just like asparagus. People love colorful food, especially when it's crispy fish paste crackers. Indian packaged goods stalls are tidy and well organized. 5 pieces of dried dangui, or angelica root, are used to flavor the salted chicken we loved so much in Ipoh. These are called wine biscuits, used to make homemade rice wine. They contain yeast and starch. Curious Reynold insists on tasting one. It's pretty tough and not too tasty, chalky and slightly bitter. Not much yeast taste. That must be in the more expensive versions. These are called chicken fish because they taste exactly like chicken. And a parrot fish tastes exactly like a parrot. We head to the Cultural Museum of Seremban, about an hour southeast of Kuala Lumpur. There are 2 original houses, a noble house on the left and a common house on the right. Thatched roofs and built on square stilts for ventilation and to keep snakes from slithering up and in. The noble house has 2 large rooms, one on each floor. Public areas below, undivided sleeping area above. Curtains made from palm leaves provided the only privacy between parents and kids. The common house is simpler and more inviting. The kitchen area is separate with a high threshold to keep little kids from getting underfoot. Moranti wood is used to build these homes, no nails allowed. There is a loft above the 2nd floor where they kept their valuables, their grain, and, oh yes, their virgin daughters. The ladder was removed at night to keep thieves and kidnappers away, but mostly to keep the girls in. The low window heights and armrests were designed to make sitting and flirting convenient and comfortable. Girls weren't supposed to go outside.
Once we reach Kuala Lumpur, we say goodbye to our guides and head off again on our own to explore. This is a canopy walkway in the heart of town. We've been on such frightful canopies, this staircase is only for sissies. As is this walkway, stable and steady. This presentation is so complete, they are thoughtfully demonstrating Malaysia's illegal logging problem. after which we see their display encouraging conservation, especially when it comes to illegal logging. The Central Bank Building. It has its own finance museum. Mostly it teaches how a central bank functions. There is a separate section on Islamic finance. We learn about the development of Arabic numerals and the first credit card issued in the Muslim world that's fully Sharia compliant. No interest and no unquantified risk. A gallery with sample currencies from around the world. From the Japanese occupation of the Philippines during World War II. Currency in Penang during the 19th century. The largest denomination of them all is from Zimbabwe, where $100 trillion is just some walking around money. The Islamic Arts Museum is our next stop. These textiles are from all over the Islamic world. And illuminated Qurans on vellum. And a little Islamic history.
Next day, we're off to the bird park in Kuala Lumpur. This chain curtain between two metal gates keeps the birds in the aviary.
Suci harumnya, indah abadi, ya Allah ya Sayyidi. Bukan mimpi, tak terjaga, ya Allah ya Sayyidi. Hidup umpama, bukan mimpi, bila terjaga, ya Allah ya Sayyidi.
At the waterfall, Reynold and Joyce have a camera contest. Same shot, two cameras. This is Reynold's with flash. Joyce's with no flash. Did anybody win? An ostrich with anger management issues approaches the fence.
Smelly bird.
After the birds, the butterflies. These particular butterflies are mostly hidden in thick and tall foliage and not very close to us visitors. But we still manage to find a few nearby.
Janganlah aku dirayu, janganlah aku kau goda, tak sanggup ku menahan beban kasih asmara, beban kasih asmara, beban kasih asmara.
Bak kut te means pork bone tea. There is a broth made with 4 or 5 Chinese herbs. You get various meats in separate bowls. You spoon the meats and broth onto your bowl of rice. We chose 5 meats from a large list. 2 kinds of ribs, tendons, stomach, and lean shank, plus enoki mushrooms and the little strips of fried dough to dunk in the broth. If you see this, try it. It's super. We say goodbye to peninsular Malaysia and fly to the other part of Malaysia on Borneo Island. Look for our sequel travelogue coming soon. The most friendly people in Malaysia seem to be Muslim girls. They are always ready with a smile, at each other and at us.